Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lynn. Namaskar. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. President Murmu highlights India's growth, tech partnership with Africa and commitment to sustainable global order in Botswana. Prime Minister Narendra Modi visits LNJP Hospital in New Delhi, meets the blast victims, reiterates his promise to bring conspirators to justice. British Health Minister Wes Streeting denies charges of plotting an ouster of Prime Minister Keir Starmer. The President of India, Draupadi Murmu, lauded Botswana and termed it as a shining example of democracy in Africa. She was addressing the lawmakers in the Parliament of Botswana this evening.
Botswana is a shining example of democracy, good governance, and effective leadership. It is a testament of what is possible, and when a democracy is allowed to function for the welfare of the common people, when the national resources are deployed towards holistic development of the country and for the upliftment of the disadvantaged and less privileged ones.
The President said that India's cooperation has expanded across many sectors: education, health, technology, agriculture, defense, trade and investments.
India and Botswana share a natural friendship, one that is built on mutual trust and respect, shared values, and a common belief in democracy and human dignity. It is a friendship that has been built not with words and promises, rather on the bedrock of hard work, dedication, and people-oriented daily life. Over the decades, our partnership has not only been reinforced by our past collaboration, but also by the promise of its bright future.
Highlighting India's growth, President Murmu said that India is the fastest growing economy.
Today, India is the fastest growing major economy in the world. We are on a robust growth trajectory driven by structural reforms, digital transformation, expanding infrastructure, and a youthful workforce, which sustains GDP growth average 7 to 8% annually. India is poised to become the world's third largest economy within the next decade and an enduring growth engine for the global economy. The of a Viksit Bharat, developed India by 2047, aims to transform India into a fully developed, inclusive, and resilient nation by the centenary of its independence, emphasizing innovation-led industrialization, clean energy transition, global competitiveness, and equitable prosperity.
President Draupadi Murmu reaffirmed her commitment to deepening bilateral cooperation across trade, education and technology in a meeting with President of Botswana, Duma Boko, at the presidential office in Harbonne. Now, the President also held bilateral talks with her counterpart, Duma Boko, in Botswana on her 3-day visit to the country. This is the first state visit that Botswana President is hosting after coming to power last year. But the leaders, in fact both the leaders, they expressed solidarity and cooperation between India and Botswana. The President of India said that the two countries will engage further in cooperation in areas like health and pharmaceuticals.
I conveyed to President Boko India's firm commitment to working closely with Botswana to further deepen our ties as well as India's commitment to expanding its partnership with the African region, including within the framework of India-Africa Forum Summit.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today visited LNJP Hospital in Delhi to meet those injured in the recent blast incident. The Prime Minister interacted with the victims and their families. He inquired about their treatment. He conveyed his heartfelt prayers for their swift and complete recovery. Expressing deep concern over the incident, the Prime Minister reaffirmed the government's commitment to ensuring justice. In a post on X, the Prime Minister said, and I quote, "Went to LNJP Hospital and met those injured during the blast in Delhi, praying for everyone's quick recovery. Those behind the conspiracy will be brought to justice," unquote. In the latest in the Delhi car blast, the Delhi police now has sounded an alert across all police stations, posts and border checkpoints in the national capital to trace a red a red Ford. This is a Ford EcoSport car. Now, the alert was issued after the investigation revealed that other suspects already connected to the Hyundai i20 used in the explosion were also in possession of another red-colored car. Now, at least 5 teams of Delhi police have been deployed to locate this vehicle, while neighboring Uttar Pradesh and Haryana police have also been alerted to maintain heightened vigilance and assist in the search. Meanwhile, the National Investigation Agency, the NIA, has intensified its investigation, and this team has visited the blast scene and also has checked the vehicles that were parked near the Red Fort at the time of the blast. The NIA officials, they have also been inquiring from the owners of these vehicles as to how long the vehicles were parked there and whether these vehicles also had any role in the blast. Prime Minister Narendra Modi concluded the 2-day state visit to Bhutan, and the visit marked many important milestones in civilizational ties and development partnership between the two nations. DD India correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh puts the historic visit into perspective.
On day 2 of his state visit to Bhutan, Prime Minister Narendra Modi held talks with the 4th Druk Gyalpo Jigme Singye Wangchuk. The leaders discussed cooperation in energy, trade, technology and connectivity. PM appreciated the extensive efforts of the former king over the years towards further cementing India-Bhutan ties and lauded the progress in the Gelapu Mindfulness City project, which aligns with India's Act East policy. Later in the day, the Prime Minister joined the King of Bhutan, Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangchuk, the royal family, and PM Shering Tobge for the ongoing Global Peace Prayer Festival at the Changli Mithang Stadium in Thimphu. Amidst Buddhist chants and spiritual atmosphere, PM participated in the Kala Chakra initiation ceremony. The Kala Chakra empowerment is a sacred Buddhist ceremony that carries a universal message of peace, compassion, and harmony. It promotes the belief that world peace arises from individual inner peace, and thus the empowerment serves as a reminder of the shared responsibility to foster understanding and coexistence among all beings. Thousands of Buddhist monks and followers from Bhutan and the world had gathered at the stadium for the ceremony. Before concluding his visit, PM Modi stopped to greet and engage with Buddhist monks at the venue. Early on Tuesday, giving a boost to development cooperation between the two neighbors, Prime Minister Modi, along with the King of Bhutan, inaugurated the 1,020 megawatt Punat Sangchu 2 hydroelectric project developed jointly by India and Bhutan. The leaders witnessed exchange of MOUs in the fields of renewable energy and healthcare. Government of India also announced a concessional line of credit of INR 4,000 crores for Bhutan to fund energy projects. India is providing land in Varanasi for building a Bhutanese temple, monastery, and guest house. The two sides underlined the importance of improving cross-border connectivity and infrastructure through integrated checkposts and cross-border rail links. In Thimphu, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also addressed an event to mark the 70th birth anniversary of the 4th King of Bhutan. The Prime Minister was on a two-day state visit to the Himalayan kingdom from the 11th to the 12th of November.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Bhutan marked an important milestone in the relations between the close neighbors. While the modern development partnership was taken forward, it also energized the civilizational and spiritual connection, sending out a message of peace and solidarity. With camera person Senthil, Shubhendu Ghosh for DT India in Thimphu.
Well, let's take a look at other stories making news from around the world. France's oldest dated house, built in 1091, in 1091, has been meticulously restored by its architect owner, who transformed the second floor into a cozy holiday cottage located in the historic city of Cluny in southeastern France. This house has sheltered around 50 generations. GPS tracking collars are being placed on critically endangered Sumatran elephants at Tesonilo National Park in Indonesia as part of the conservation efforts. Fitted onto elephants' mothers, the collars, they help monitor their movements to prevent human-wildlife conflict. And according to the Indonesian government, about 1,100 Sumatran elephants remain across 22 locations. Once introduced to fight desertification, the invasive Prosopis plant is now spreading uncontrollably across Ethiopia, threatening ecosystems and rural livelihoods. Farmers report that livestock deaths have taken place after eating its toxic pods. Now, the NGOs are also helping communities harvest and also repurpose the plant into animal feed and also charcoal briquettes, turning a growing menace into potential opportunity. Still to come here on DD India Live. The death toll from the sinking boat carrying Rohingya refugees off Malaysia rises to 29. Russia is ready to resume peace negotiations with Ukraine in Istanbul. This is what the Russian news agency TASS says. And Carlos Alcaraz beats Taylor Fritz at the ATP Finals to move closer to ending the year as world number one.
This week on Defense Dynamic, we decode why for India a unified rocket force is no longer an option but a strategic necessity, which Asian navies are redefining the undersea power balance in the Indian Ocean, and why Pakistan's Hangoor-class submarine may not be the game changer it's claimed to be. We break down India's engine dream as Defense Minister calls to build jet engines in India by Indians and on Indian soil. And in my take, how the Russia-Iran railway corridor is redrawing the map of Eurasian geopolitics. Catch the sharpest insights on power, posture and strategy this Wednesday at 8 p.m. IST only on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Mark Lynn. The British Health Minister Wes Streeting on Wednesday denied claims that he was planning to oust the Prime Minister Keir Starmer after reports suggested a possible leadership challenge following this month's budget. Streeting, seen as a rising star in Labour, told broadcasters the rumours were categorically untrue, and he called the internal briefings self-defeating. Now, the denials came as Starmer's government battles plunging poll ratings just 16 months after Labour's landslide 2024 victory. Prime Minister faces growing unrest within his own party ahead of the November 26 budget, which is expected to include tax rises, breaking the key election pledge. The 44th Sharjah International Book Fair has transformed Expo Centre Sharjah into a vibrant meeting ground for global literature, drawing more than 2,350 publishers from 118 countries. India's debut National Pavilion has become one of the fair's major highlights, capturing attention for its scale and diversity. Set up by the National Book Trust India under the Ministry of Education, this pavilion brings together over 100 Indian publishers, showcasing titles in English, Hindi, Urdu and several regional languages. Rakesh Kumar, who is the Joint Director of the National Book Trust, noted that this was the first time that the NBT books from the Government of India were being sold internationally.
First time the NBT, the Government of India books are being sold internationally. Other publishers' books are also being arranged here, and people are having a great interest in Indian books. Our Honorable Prime Minister is also our author, and his one book, which is very relevant for teachers and students, that is the Exam Warriors, is quite popular. Like NBT has sold its lakhs of the copies, and what we see that students and teachers has also demonstrated their great interest in this book.
In the race for the best artificial intelligence, companies are in a hurry to train their software with all the information they can find, often overlooking the fact that much of that information might not be in the public domain. A judge in Germany has now ruled that AI firms have to respect authors' rights. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle. He joins me now from Berlin. Lars, what can you tell us about this case?
Thanks for having me. It was the GEMA suing ChatGPT owner OpenAI. Now, GEMA is an organization whose longer name translates to the Society for Musical Performing and Mechanical Reproduction Rights. So this is a collecting society that takes in fees from, say, radio stations, concert promoters, from clubs, and just about anyone who plays music in public. And then they distribute these funds to the authors and musicians who wrote that music, the copyright owners. That's worked well for many years, but now GEMA found itself facing a new enemy, artificial intelligence, because those programs are being trained using song lyrics, and of course, the artists who wrote them were never compensated. In this case now, they were looking into 9 famous German songs by Herbert Grönemeyer, Reinhard May and Helene Fischer, if you care to Google some German singers and songwriters. And the judge found that, yes, these artists have to be compensated. Furthermore, they also have to be asked whether or not their songs can even be used for AI training.
Well, so what happens next? Are they going to get the money? Are they getting the money?
Yes, they should be getting money, some damages, although the amount was not what this particular lawsuit was about. So any monetary damages will be decided separately. But what's more important, the companies behind those AI systems will have to figure out a different way to train their programs. Now, here's a little technical detail. Apparently, to train the AI, lyrics were copied and memorized by the system. Now, even in an analog world, to copy something means you would have to pay the person holding the rights to whatever you're copying. And the question is, how will companies train their systems in the future? Especially since this will not be a German problem only. First of all, this lawsuit will continue in a higher court, but the parties also said they would like to see a ruling on an EU level, and other markets will undoubtedly look into this too, because Indian and African and American and Chinese authors will likely want to be paid for their work as well.
Well, Lars, thanks very much for joining us from Berlin. And the death toll from the sinking of a boat carrying Rohingya refugees of Malaysia's Langkawi Island has risen to 29 after rescue teams recovered 2 more bodies on Wednesday. The Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency said both victims were male and their remains have been handed over to authorities. The vessel carrying members of Myanmar's persecuted Rohingya Muslim minority sank near the Malaysia-Thailand maritime border over the weekend. US President Donald Trump urged Israeli President Isaac Herzog to consider granting a pardon to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Herzog's office on Wednesday said that it had received a letter from Trump. Netanyahu has been facing a long-running corruption trial, and Trump has repeatedly asked for a pardon for his close ally. Netanyahu denies the charges and has pleaded not guilty. The office said that anyone seeking a presidential pardon must submit a formal request in accordance with the established procedures. During Trump's visit to Israel in October, he had also urged Herzog to pardon the Prime Minister in an address to Parliament in Jerusalem. Russia is ready to resume peace negotiations with Ukraine in Istanbul. The Russian state news agency TASS cited a foreign ministry official as saying on Wednesday, Russia and Ukraine have had multiple rounds of talks in Istanbul, but those talks did not lead to any breakthrough. The Ukrainian side proposed a meeting in August between President Volodymyr Zelensky and the Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Kremlin subsequently said that Putin was willing to meet Zelensky, but only in Moscow, a condition rejected by Kiev. Yet no meeting has been scheduled since the last meeting in July. Bangladesh's capital Dhaka has been placed under tight security ahead of a key development in the case against the former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and the Awami League's announced lockdown program. Security forces from the police, the Rapid Action Battalion and the Border Guard Bangladesh have been deployed in large numbers across the capital and nearby districts ahead of the anticipated verdict announcement. Officials said the heightened alert follows a spate of violence across the country, including crude bomb explosions and arson attacks on vehicles. Today is Public Service Broadcasting Day, and this day is observed on the 12th of November every year to mark the historic address of the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, to his countrymen on radio. And the day has always been celebrated at Akashvani Broadcasting House in New Delhi with great enthusiasm. The Prasar Bharati chairman, Navneet Sehgal, along with officers and employees, attended the program. Several artists came together and sang devotional songs loved by Mahatma Gandhi at the Bapu studio. Now, speaking on the occasion, the Prasar Bharati chairman, Navneet Sehgal, highlighted the role of public broadcasting in connecting with the maximum number of households across the country.
हमारा जो प्रसार भारती है उसका जो डीडी फ्री डिश है वो लगभग 6.5 करोड़ घरों से जुड़ा हुआ है. अगर हम पूरा एक माने कि जितने डीटीएच नेटवर्क है उस हिसाब से दूरदर्शन जो है लगभग 12 करोड़ घरों से जुड़ा है इस देश में. हमारा आकाशवाणी और जो अभी नया वेव्स ओटीटी जो हम लोगों ने लॉन्च किया है वो सबको मिलाएं तो हम लगभग देश की 2/3 जनसंख्या तक पहुंच रहे हैं. तो ऐसे में हमारा कर्तव्य होता है कि हम सही समय पे सही समाचार उनको दें, समय पे सही जानकारियां उनको दें और उनके इच्छा के अनुरूप साफ सुथरा पारिवारिक मनोरंजन हम उनको दें.
The conversation surrounding Lionel Messi's international future has reignited once again as the 2022 World Cup winner continues to leave the door open. Messi on Wednesday said that he doesn't want to be a burden to his national team at the 2026 World Cup, but hopes to be fit and contribute to the team's title defense in the United States, Canada and Mexico. The 38-year-old forward said that he was hopeful to play in next summer's tournament, but was still approaching it as he does on a day-by-day basis.
Especial jugar con la selección y
A World Cup is special. It's special to play with the national team and even more so in important and official tournaments. With everything that a World Cup means and after winning it, it's special too. But as I was saying, I don't want to be, in inverted commas, a burden. I want to feel good physically and be sure that I can help and contribute to the team.
puedo ayudar y aportar cosas.
Well, Carlos Alcaraz battled to victory over Taylor Fritz at the ATP Finals, and he moved one win away from securing the #1 ranking for the second time this year. And the five-time Grand Slam champion clinched a 6-7, 7-5, 6-3 victory over the last year's runner-up, Fritz, in Tunis. Alcaraz, who was replaced by rival Yannick Sinner as the world #1 following the Paris Masters earlier this month, will finish 2025 at the top of the rankings if he beats the home hope Lorenzo Musetti on Thursday. Sinner has to successfully defend his finals title to have any chance of ending the season as the number one for a second straight year. Meanwhile, Italy's Lorenzo Musetti beat Alex de Minor 7-5, 3-6, 7-5 in a dramatic group stage encounter, and the ninth seed Musetti had looked down and out with de Minor, in fact serving for the match, but Musetti came back, made a stunning comeback and sealed the match. And that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, get the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. Available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code and download it now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. My name is Mark Lin. Thank you very much for being here on DD India Live. Namaskar.